Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Carver Museum. My name is Cathy Runnels, and I'm part of the education team here at the Carver Museum. The brick building that you see over to your left, in 1926, that building was across the highway, and it was known as the Central Library. They moved it here in 1933, and it became known as the Colored Library. 1980, 79, 80, they built the current library that you see today. And this building then became known as the Carver Museum. Now, from what we understand, George Washington Carver never lived here in Austin, never really visited Austin, but he did pass through. They simply wanted to name the museum after somebody that was prominent in the African American community that had contributed to not only the community, but society as a whole. In 2005, they built this building that we're standing on the grounds of today. The original library then became the Carver Genealogy Center. And it's one of the only genealogy centers in the country that specifically tries to focus on the research and history of African American people and culture. The space that we're standing in now, this space is called the Drum. You'll notice that throughout the exhibit, you'll see crosses and different elements of Christianity. Christianity is the faith or religious practice in our community, the African American community, that is most dominant. This is our Carver Window. The history of Juneteenth in Austin is big. In this window, you'll see different flyers and different concert posters about Juneteenth. There is a particular newspaper clipping that states there were over 10,000 people present at one of the Juneteenth celebrations here in the city of Austin. So now that it is a federal holiday, we expect more and more people to come out and celebrate with us. Step back and just take it all in, because it's actually a lot to take in. The wood, if you stand back, you'll notice the wood is designed almost like a wave, like the ocean. And so this particular piece as a whole represents water and a specific body of water. So in order to talk about African American history in Texas, we have to talk about, where did the people come from, right? They came from Africa, and how did they get here? By boat, across the waters. You see what looks to be like a silhouette of a man, a woman, a child, or a baby, representing the families that crossed over, right? Or the individuals. And then if you look within the actual piece, you see all of these amazing black and white photos of black people or African people who traveled over or who were born in the Americas, right? During a time period of enslavement. This entire piece, when I look at it, I consider it an altar. I consider it an altar because every person on this panel actually existed. They lived. They had a life. We just don't know the detail of it. So this is a space that I also consider a sacred space because these people existed. So when we stand before them, we're like paying homage or honor to them. Here you see examples of spiritual objects, ceremonial objects, examples of musical instruments. You'll see a map from the Congo that's dated back to 1670. This piece is a modern piece that was done by Ami Everett. This piece is called Bloodstained Ship. You'll also notice the feet going around the boat, and copper, silver, and brass. And the significance of that, the artist wanted to show that each person represented wealth, right? Gold, copper, silver, brass. These different natural elements, minerals, right, are worth money. And the people were worth money. On the wall here, we're looking at some of the African American legislators in the state of Texas So after the Emancipation Proclamation was signed, and after Juneteenth, 1865, there was a period called Reconstruction, the Reconstruction era. And this is a very important era because during this time period, African American people began to make a lot of strides, especially politically. There were a lot of African American people or Black people or African people that ran for office and they won. A lot of times, what do we learn in school? We learned that there was a time period that Blacks just weren't able to do anything until the Civil Rights Movement, right? But there was a time period when we were voting and we were running for office, and that was before the Civil Rights Movement. We're almost going in circles, right?